How much Shai Bashima Kakadash, the planners, the apostles of Shemus, greatness to and shalom to the brothers out there pushing this word in sincerity, and in honesty, shalom to the brothers and sisters. This is Ashar from GMS Vigilant, and as I can see, the elder brother Manatazakba, did a video on this here, and we won't get into it, right? Because this is a thing a lot of people don't understand. If you want to be wicked, just go ahead and leave the Bible out of it. Simple as that. Don't come and try to justify your wickedness with the scriptures. Just leave the Bible out of it and just go and be what you want to be, because at the end of the day, you're gonna be judged for your wickedness, right? And say, he that is filthy, let him be filthy still. He that is just, let him be just still. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. So you want to be wicked, man, and you don't like, or you were Hebrew Israelite, right? In one of listening to one of the camps, and you don't like what we're teaching, it's a tie down to you. Just go ahead, go and be wicked and leave the scriptures out of it, yeah. So let's play the video.
This video is my testimony. This verse encouraged me more to tell my testimony. So Revelation 12:11, and they have defeated him by the blood of the Lamb and by the testimony. And they did not love their lives so much that they were afraid to die. So my life belongs to the Lord, and I definitely declare that, and I definitely strive to live that. So I'll start off when I was a child. So when I was a child, I used to go to church. I used to celebrate all of the holidays and all stuff like that. And then I used to go to church with my godmom and stuff like that. So, you know, we were I think Christians at the time, I will say. So basically, yeah. So then as I got a little older, I remember my mom came home and was like, we're not celebrating, you know, these holidays anymore. And as a child, I didn't understand why, because I didn't really get like a big explanation on it. And if she did explain, I just don't remember. But I just know that made me curious about why. Like, why we can't celebrate holidays. We've been doing them all our life at that point. But mind you, I was like elementary school when we stopped doing holidays. So, you know, from there, I say about, like, as I was growing up, I got into the Hebrew Israelites, and I got that because my godmom and my auntie got into being Hebrew Israelites. And if you don't know what Hebrew Israelites is, I will explain what that is. So they got into Hebrew Israelites. I started learning from them, and you know, that's like in 10th grade. I say like in 10th grade, I start to wanting to learn more about God and stuff like that. So I got into being a Hebrew Israelite. When I got into being a Hebrew Israelite, I started being seafood. Of course, we already was celebrating holidays, and that was just because, like, I still to this day I don't celebrate holidays, and I don't believe they're biblical. That's the reason why I don't celebrate them, because now I am in my Bible. So yeah. So basically, with that being said, I stopped eating seafood. I stopped eating pork. I stopped. I believe that church was bad. I believe that Sunday worship was bad. I was still trying to figure out who God was. While I was at this job, the Father definitely reached out to me, and He put on my heart to do Bible study. And I reconnected with my old guy friend, and I reconnected with him. We started doing Bible study. Then it was my cousin, and then I think one of her friends. So we started doing Bible study, and my guy friend at the time, he told me, he was like, "Oh, we should read Romans." And if you never read Romans, Romans is what broke the barrier off of my heart, because I'm gonna go into that. Romans. Also, Hebrew Israelites also believe that the Gentiles, which they believe is white people and all other nations besides, they only believe that the Israelites are the blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, and stuff like that. Now, I also believe that the whites and everybody else will go to hell, because you got to think, y'all, this is what I was taught. I did not know. So when my guy friend at the time, when he brought up that, oh, we should read Romans, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, read Romans. As soon as I read Romans, the shackles fell off my heart, and I was like, oh, everything I was taught was a lie. So I was Hebrew Israelite, they wasn't bringing verses out like Romans. They was bringing out like, oh, God loved Jacob and hated Esau and stuff like that. But that's does not have nothing to do with color whatsoever if you really understand the scriptures. So I'll read one of the verses in Romans that broke the chains off my heart. So Romans 1:5, through Christ, God has given us the privilege and authority as apostles to tell Gentiles everywhere what God has done for them so that they will believe and obey him, bringing glory to his name. One more. Okay, so Romans 11:28 through 32. Many of the people of Israel are now enemies of the good news, and this benefits you Gentiles. Yet they are still the people he loves because he chose the ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. For God's gifts and his call can never be withdrawn. Once you Gentiles were rebels against God, but when the people of Israel rebelled against him, God was merciful to you instead. Now they are the rebels, and God's mercy has come to you so that they too will share in God's mercy. For God has imprisoned everyone in disobedience so he could have mercy on everyone. And that right there sold it for me. So I'm just like, okay. He said everyone. Everyone. John 3:16, says that, God so loved the world, gave his own begotten son. So it says that, of course, it says more, but it says that. But in that scripture, when I watched the Hebrew Israelite video, it was like, oh, he was only talking about one world and all of this stuff. And in my mind, if you read it in the context of me, in my mind, I was having a Hebrew Israelite mind. My mind wasn't open to hearing anything else. So if you listen to that, I'm like, oh yeah, I think they're right. So this is another scripture about dietary, and this is also in Romans, right? What I say, just Lord been so good to me, y'all. All right, so Romans 14:1 through 6. Accept other believers who are weak in faith and don't argue with them because what they think is right or wrong. For instance, one person believes it's all right to eat anything, but another believer with a sensitive conscience will eat only vegetables. Those who feel free to eat anything must not look down on those who don't, and those who don't eat certain foods must not condemn those who do. For God has accepted them. Who are you to condemn someone else's servants? Their own masters will judge whether they stand or fall. And with the Lord's help, they will stand and receive his approval. In the same way, some think one day is more holy than another day, while others think every day is alike. You should each be fully convinced that whichever day you choose is acceptable. Those who worship the Lord on a special day do it to honor him. Those who eat any kind of food do so to honor the Lord, since they give thanks to God before eating. And those who refuse to eat certain foods also want to please the Lord and give thanks to God. That sold me, right? That sold me. So I'm just like, okay, so the Sabbath, I believe you should worship the Lord every day. Now, some people believe you should do this, you should, rest on the Sabbath. And I believe neither one is a salvation issue. You can do what is pleasing to the Lord. Me, I no longer believe that seafood, pork, any food is wrong to eat because we be giving thanks for it and we're going to eat it. He's going to bless it and clean it. I mean, I definitely eat everything now. So I remember I was like 16. I remember I was...
So that's the point I wanna hit you. The seafood, well, the unclean food part of. Right, you have a lot of topics out of this video that the brother did, and the brother did a pretty good job on breaking down. But you have different points you can take it from, like the point that she say, Hebrew Israelite believe that only blacks, Latino, Hispanic can be saved, right? We preach that the seed of Israel can be saved from the seed and the lineage. We preach that these other so-called nations like the Japanese and so on and so forth, our people have basically mixed in our nation, and you can have a Japanese looking man who is actually an Israelite according to the seed. But let's get into the point that I want to make. She says her eyes were open basically to the fact that she can eat any animals, right? Any so-called meat, right? Nothing is unclean unto you from your basically purify it and sanctify it. And this is a common argument made by Christians, right? Just to defend the fact of eating something unclean, and that's why I say, if you want to do wickedly, just go ahead and do it, and stop using the scriptures to defend your foolishness. Alright, so let's get in some scriptures. This is Romans 13. Actually, well, Romans 13, this and that, but Romans 13 and 10 is a love worketh no ill to his neighbor, therefore love is the fulfilling of the law. Right? So basically fulfilling the law is love, right? The Lord loves us because he gave us these laws, show us what to eat, what not to eat, what to do, what not to do, right? So let's get let's get the Levitical laws. Right, this is Leviticus 11 and verse 9, verse 7. It says, verse 6, and the hair, because he chewed the cud, but divided not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the swine, though he divide the hoof, and be cloven footed, yet he chewed not the cud, he is unclean unto you. Right? Jump to verse 9. These shall ye eat of all that are in the water, whatsoever had fins and scales in the water, in the sea, and in the river, them shall ye eat. Jump again. And these are they which ye shall eat, which ye shall have in abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten, they are an abomination: the eagle, the ostrich, and the osprey, and the vulture, and the kite after its kind, every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cockcrow, and the hawk after his kind, and the little owl, and the cormorant, and the great owl, and the swan. All fowls that creep going upon 4 shall be abomination unto you. So it basically give you the list where you can eat and where you not eat, right? And question to you, we always ask these people, why don't you eat out here them call them drunkra, right? Why don't you eat some disgusting animals, snake, although these people will be eating snake as well, right? These people eat crocodile tail, so who to tell, right? But some of the disgusting ones here, right? Why don't you eat some poisonous animals, right? Because you have here, let us search. This is there any Levitical animal that can be eaten that is not poisonous? Right, and this is what it says. It says, yes, some animal listed as clean are permitted to eat in Leviticus can become poisonous under certain condition, or if certain parts are eaten. The Bible set rules for clean animal, but it does not warn about neutral toxin. Right, poisonous Levitical animals, pufferfish, right? And this is why it's good to do researches, let's read it out. It's a pufferfish of scales and fin, making them clean under Levitical rule. However, most species contain tetrodotoxin. This is a deadly poison in their skin, liver, and ovaries. And this is why it's good to research things. That's the pufferfish or the blowfish, they say, So we go and say, does the blowfish have scale? Right? He said, no, real blowfish, pufferfish do not have typical scales. Instead, they have smooth, tough skin that often features small, prickly spikes or bumps that stand up when the fish feels in danger, right? So that is why it's good to go into studies, right? Or just look up things there, because right here Google say yes, and then it'll show you that the puffer fish can be eaten when it cannot be eaten because it doesn't have scale, yo. And according to the Levitical laws, if you don't have scale, it mustn't be eaten, right? It says certain marine algae eaters, some clean fish and shellfish, can absorb toxin from poisonous red tides or algae. Eating them can cause paralytic or neurotoxin shellfish poisoning, right? The shellfish is out of it, right? But most of the things it mention any, yeah, most animals that are clean is under circumstances where them actually get poisonous, like a barrafish, right? It's clean and it can be eaten, but I think it eat copper in certain season, in certain times, in certain area that grows in the seagrass, and it basically gets poisonous, right? It's a migratory quails. Quails are clean birds at certain times of the year. They eat poisonous hemlock seed. Their meat become toxin to human and cause severe condition called contortionism, right? Honey from toxic plant. Bees are not eaten, but their honey is consumed. Bees can gather nectar from poisonous plants like mountain laurel. This make the honey toxic, right? So under certain circumstances, these clean animals can be poisonous, but overall these clean animals are not naturally poisonous, yo, right? You have let me see what it says. Let's just search. Are unclean animals usually poisonous, right? Okay, so we got something else here. It said no unclean animal are not usually poisonous. Rather, the biblical distinction is primarily rooted in religious symbolism, ritual purity, and ecological role of animal. While a few unclean animals are toxic, most are physically harmless to touch or eat if properly prepared. Though many act are environmental scavengers habits. Many unclean animals like pig, vulture, and shellfish are carnivorous or bottom feeder. They ingest waste, which increase their risk of carrying parasites like Trichinella in pork or Trichonella in pork, and heavy metals rather than inherent biological poison. Disease vector animals like rodent, bat, and stray cat are classified as unclean because they are highly efficient vectors for zoonotic disease such as rabies and leptospirosis. But being species, many biblical unclean animals are completely non-toxic and are regularly consumed safely around the world today, including camel, rabbit, horse, and various scaleless fish like catfish, right? So yeah, most of them are not poisonous, but they are bottom feeders who basically devour waste, yo. Right? So tell me, do you want that to go in your body, yo? Something that devour waste, right? So let's get this here. This is Jeremiah 2 and verse 19. It said, "Thy known wickedness shall correct thee, and thy known backsliding shall reprove thee. Know therefore and see that is an evil thing and bitter, that thou hast forsaken the Lord thy power, and thy fear is not in thee, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts." Right? So you go ahead and eat what you want to eat. Be wicked as you want to be wicked. Right? But just leave the scriptures out of it, yeah? Right? Because there's nowhere in the Bible that says, oh, the Levitical laws are done and you're free to eat every and anything, you know. As the brother said, you just don't understand the context of the scriptures, yeah? Right? Because let's not get into it. So with that, to say Kalalalia, Obashem Yashai, Bashem Kakodash. Hope this was a edifying one. Shalom.